Alright guys, hey, it's Aaron again with the Duke. Today we're still talking running back. We're going to go through a couple of these little skill players here and we're going to see what we can come up with, alright? So before we get started, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Today's topic, Miles Sanders, Philadelphia Eagles, alright? Definitely had some big playability last season, so let's dive in a little deeper and see what we can find and expect out of Miles Sanders this year. Alright, so hey, one thing you will hear me say all the time is that the Philadelphia Eagles like to pass. They want to pass the ball, alright? You'll hear it in this video and multiple other videos, alright? So, it is a very surprising stat line, even to myself, that the Philadelphia Eagles had over 350 rushes to running backs last season, alright? I mean, that's almost mind-boggling that they were able to do that for how much they want to pass the ball. Now, considering that they had most of their wide receivers fall out last year due to injuries and they were kind of forced to run the ball at the running backs and throw to the tight ends, that might have something to do with this high shares in the Philadelphia Eagle offense. But if anything stays somewhat the same of last year, there are plenty of carries to go around in this offense, all right? So, Miles Sanders, 350 rushes to running backs in 2019 from the Eagles. You know, last year he didn't even take off really until the second half. He didn't get that chance. They were still giving the ball to Jordan Howard. Then he went down with, I believe, a shoulder injury halfway through the season, and Miles Sanders got his chance, and he definitely took advantage of it. He has big play potential, big playability, all right? And so let's look here, 90 receptions to running backs. All right, so in a PPR, half PPR, that's pretty good. But let's not forget, like this next line I have here, Boston Scott won't go anywhere, right? They're going to use him a little bit. They like to use that Darren Sproles type player through the last couple seasons, and I can see Boston Scott actually taking that over. And it might even be to the point where there's a couple weeks where Boston Scott just lights it up and Miles Sanders was nowhere to be seen. We don't know if that's going to happen, but that kind of happened with Darren Sproles. They would get behind in games, so they would bring in Sproles, and he would just take off and score 20 fantasy points, and the starting running back was nowhere to be seen that week. So just keep an eye out on that. But either way, you know, like I say, I've got here a 70 and 30 stat line for shares on Boston Scott and Miles Sanders. You know, if that's the case, there should still be probably around 40 receptions to Miles Sanders this season, all right? So the number one problem, though, that we see with the Philadelphia Eagle running backs, doesn't matter who they are, is touchdowns. They like to use the running back, they like to rush the ball up the middle, they like to do dump passes, but the running backs do not score touchdowns, all right? And in fantasy football, we want running backs who score touchdowns, okay? So Miles Sanders last year, all right, he had 3 touchdowns, but 6 touchdowns total, but he only had 3 on the ground as a running back. And then from weeks 11 through 17, he was the starter. So I don't know why or what happened, or if they were just using the tight ends once they got to the end zone or the red zone. But they just didn't find a way to get the running backs into the end zone on the ground. Definitely something that we would like to watch out for in this Philadelphia Eagles offense, because as we see the carries are there, there's a possibility for a few receptions, nothing crazy, but the touchdowns just were not there for running backs last season. So if they can flip that this season, Miles Sanders could be a huge breakout player. But it all comes down to touchdowns, and you're not going to be a breakout player or a top 10 running back unless you're scoring more than 3 touchdowns on the ground. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So if he can find a way to get in the end zone more this season, you know, then definitely he's a 100% take him where he's going in the second round. But you know, that's the only thing that we see as an issue going this season. And then they didn't even have wide receivers last year for that issue. I mean, it was just, why weren't running backs getting touchdowns? I mean, they had no wide receivers to throw the ball to. It could have been the tight ends, which the tight ends both did. And Dallas Goedert came up in the second half of the season and filled that role and was right there behind Ertz. But they can't all touch. So there's definitely a big lack in touchdown production from running backs with the Philadelphia Eagle offense last season. So just be aware of that. And then the other issue that I see with the Philadelphia Eagles is they haven't said anything. They haven't come out with anything. So don't take this and run with it. but I don't see them being 100% comfortable with just Miles Sanders. And then if anything was to happen to him, they only have Boston Scott. I mean, there's nobody else there. And they've done this with the receivers for the last 2 or 3 seasons where everybody gets hurt. And then they fix the receiver issue possibly this season by drafting and stacking up on it. And then what is going to happen to the running backs? Just be aware that they may not be done picking up a running back in the offseason or even a couple weeks into the season, all right? LeSean McCoy has come out and he has said that he wants to play 2 more years, all right? Now, they haven't said anything from the Eagles about picking him up, but there are players like Devontae Freeman and LeSean McCoy still available in free agency. And like I said earlier, I couldn't be comfortable as an owner or a coach knowing that I only have Miles Sanders and then Boston Scott as my second running back if anything were to happen. So this whole offense, while it looks great and it looks awesome for Miles Sanders to be a star this year, it may come to an abrupt end when they pick someone up and then you start seeing Boston Scott, possibly LeSean McCoy, and Miles Sanders all getting carries out of the backfield, and then everything turns into a 30-30-30 split, all right? And that would completely ruin the reason why you would take him in the second round. So just definitely pay attention to the news or any articles that you can see about this possibly happening, because I just don't think this is the end of the Eagles getting somebody in the free agency, all right? And like I said, he's a boom player. We like boom players. He's shown the flashes. He's pretty safe except for the touchdown areas. It's definitely in numbers. He's going to get the carries and he's going to get receptions. But I think people, just because they went to Penn State with each other, people think that they're getting Saquon Barkley out of Miles Sanders at like a dime a piece or in the second round, and they're able to pick up Saquon Barkley. All right, Miles Sanders is not Saquon Barkley. There's a huge difference in play and athleticism. So just don't think that you're getting Saquon Barkley. He's not like the Giants, where the Giants are just going to use Saquon Barkley. I mean, they're just going to run him the whole time, and that may not happen with Miles Sanders and the Eagles, all right? So don't think that you're drafting Saquon Barkley when you draft Miles Sanders in the second round, all right? But, all right, guys. But then, like I said, our expectation for this year, it's actually kind of funny because I just got done saying that. You know, Saquon Barkley from the Giants, his stat line last year, which is actually running back 10. And right now, Miles Sanders is being taken in the middle of the second round. And, you know, if all looks good and the stat lines stay up and they don't bring anybody else in, there's no reason why Miles Sanders can't be, you know, somewhere between that number 8 and number 12 running back this year. And to get that in the second round, that's exactly where we want that, especially if you have to go with a wide receiver first or you go running back. And you can get 2 possible top 10 running backs by the end of the year, depending on which one you picked in the first round. I mean, that is a great move to make. But like I said, just stay aware of possible things that could come up in the season. Otherwise, we like Miles Sanders. We like the boom ability on our roster, and we like his safe ability due to the numbers of carries that he's going to get in playing time and an offense that's actually pretty high charged and likes to get out there and throw the ball around. But all right, guys, hey, like I said, it's Aaron again. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. You know, that's what we got on Miles Sanders, the Philadelphia Eagles this year. Go out and get him. I think he's going around the second round. And, you know, be wary of what may happen to the Eagles' backfield. But as of now, nothing's come out, and Miles Sanders looks like he could be a top 10 running back going in the second round for your draft this season, all right?